Hey, it's Monica B, creator of HeyMonicaB.com, a blooming resource on Ayurveda, and author of In Your Elements, a blooming Ayurveda guide to creating your best life. One of you wrote to me and said, hey, Monica B, what does Ayurveda say about milk and cheese? And I thought that was such a great question because dairy is kind of such a big topic, right? Some people absolutely love it. It does really well for their body. Some people are actually intolerant of it and can't have it at all. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what does milk and cheese exactly do for our bodies and who is it good for. So overall, milk and cheese is considered kapha increasing, okay? And there's a couple different kinds of like cheeses. For example, there are some types of cheese that are mostly sweet, and there are some types of cheese that are mostly sour. And so sweet types of cheeses are like soft, more of the milky kind of cheeses like cottage cheese, mozzarella cheese, especially like fresh mozzarella. Burrata is a very soft cheese. Then you have the other side that is more sour, which is like the sharp cheeses, very hard and crumbly, or cheeses that have been around for a while, like blue cheese, gorgonzola cheese, like Stilton's, things like that are more sour and a little more salty. That's important to note because overall, I said milk and cheese increase kapha. And so that means that they're pretty darn good for vatas and pittas, except for the very sour cheeses. They will be a little bit too sour and some of them too salty for pitta, which can aggravate pitta a little bit. So depends, as with everything else in Ayurveda, what kind of cheese it is. But overall, let's just put it in a general category. Cheese is a builder, it is heavy, it is coating, and sometimes it can be sweet, which is cooling, and sometimes it can be sour, which is heating, okay? So Ayurvedically speaking, milk should be like nice whole milk or even raw milk to get the highest quality, the purest kind of milk in us. We want to make sure that the animals are treated well, right? That they're eating good things, and all of that comes into the purity and the quality of that food. The higher the quality and the more pure the ingredients the animal's getting to eat, the better it is for us. So that's where all of our foods in general can get a little bit murky because we're like, we think we know how that food grows or we think we know where that food comes from, but we don't always have the full story. So do the best you can with what you know, and with what you don't know, don't freak out about it. Just give your food a little blessing before you eat it and say thank you and eat happy. So the other thing about milk and cheese is milk is best had alone. For sure, don't mix milk and cheese with fruit. It curdles in your stomach and it becomes very hard to digest. The other thing about milk and cheese, or too much dairy in general, is that it does increase kapha, which can create mucus in our chest or in our throat. Have you ever drank like a glass of milk and then have tried to sing or like have to do a speech or a talk somewhere? You kind of get that like murky, kind of clogged throat a little bit because it's that coating factor is happening in our throats. So if you have congestion, if you've got like either in the sinuses or in the chest, milk and cheese is not a great thing to have at that time because it's going to keep making that worse. So lay off the milk and cheese or dairy in general for a little while until your sinuses clear up and until your chest comes up. Kaphas in particular might notice this problem happening maybe often for them. Maybe they're just like, every time I have milk or cheese, I get stuffed up. Then that's a sign that it's probably not the most awesome food for you. And when we look at foods in general, we're not putting blanket statements over all of them, but we will notice that some foods suit us better than other foods. And the key to that is just to listen to who we are as unique individuals. That's what Ayurveda is all about. If your friend can do fine without dairy, but you're like, I'm always getting heartburn, I feel a little unstable, I feel like I really need that as part of my diet, then have it. Vice versa. If you're like, I just don't do well with dairy, it's just not for me, it's not my thing, then don't have it so long as you feel fine. Overall, that is the story of milk and cheese. It is good for some people. It is not good for some people. It will exacerbate congestion and mucus. If you already have a problem with that, limit the dairy or just eliminate it until you start to feel better. Particularly in spring, we will probably want to limit these foods also, but in summer, they can actually be an amazing aid to help cool the heat. Ice cream, anybody? Totally, that's what it's there for. That is an example of a very sweet milk that has been changed, and you can actually have that if you're feeling overheated in the summertime. So I hope this helps you. And as always, if you're thinking about what a food does for you, and if you're really concerned about whether it's good or bad for you, just give that food a little blessing and know that, like, you know, one thing is not necessarily going to be super harmful for you. Sometimes the stories that we tell ourselves about a food being good or bad can actually get into our mind, and our mind rules our body. So our mind is telling our body, like, I'm freaking out, we're going to eat this thing. And it can actually hamper digestion that way because our mind translates all of those messages right to digestion. So when in doubt, you just eat happy. Love on that food. Love what you are eating, and it will serve you well. It is said in Ayurveda that eating happy and having full peace of mind when we are eating is actually more important than the actual food in many cases. So feel happy, enjoy your food. That's a whole other part of this. And if you're loving the dairy and it works for you, then have it. Don't let other things you read online sway what you think, or opinions from other people, what they're trying and works for them. This is all about you. So whatever works for you, do it. Don't doubt it. And you just keep going forward. I hope this served you today. I hope this helped clear some things up about milk and cheese. And as always, we'll keep bringing Ayurveda to life. Mwah.